We are going to start discussing about the technique of activity-based management. As you know that paper P5 involves a lot of management techniques. Amongst the various performance management technique, there is a technique which is the activity-based management. Now, what exactly is activity-based management? So you people are aware about activity-based costing. That activity-based costing is one of the techniques of absorbing the cost, absorbing the production related overheads into the product. So basically the activity based management is a technique which has been derived from the activity based costing which is generally implemented. So if I could just have a quick recall about the activity based costing, that what happens under the activity based costing. So whenever we talk about activity based costing, so under an activity based costing, what we do is that we simply the production related overheads that need to be formed part and parcel of the cost of inventory. So in order to make them part and parcel of the cost of the inventory, we try to apply the activity based costing. And while applying the activity based costing, what we do is that we try to identify the various activities that we undertake, the activities that we undertake as part of our manufacturing process. So once we are able to identify the various activities that we undertake as part of our manufacturing process, we try to absorb overheads on the basis of those activities. We try to absorb the overhead on the basis of those activities. Now, what is an activity-based management? Activity-based management is a technique which is usually applied in an organization which follows activity-based costing. Now, what happens under an activity-based management? Activity-based management involves an entity splitting its activities into value-adding and into non-value-adding activities. Into value-adding and into non-value-adding activities. Now, what exactly are the value-adding activities and what exactly are the non-value-adding activities? There are two ways of looking at it, that what is a value-adding and what is a non-value-adding. For example, if you are looking from the perspective of the product feature, so you would say that those features of the product which are valued by a customer, they are value-adding activities. And those features of the product which are not valued, which are not considered by customer to be necessary, so they are actually going to be termed as non-value-adding activities. So whenever we talk about value-adding and non-value-adding activities, so value-adding is actually those features of the product which are valued by the customers, and non-value-added features are those features which are not considered to be important features of the product and which actually do not really affect the customer's decision of buying the product or not. Similarly, if I talk about value adding and non-value adding from the perspective of manufacturing, so value adding and non-value adding from the perspective of the manufacturing involves that whenever we manufacture a product, there are a lot of activities which are essential activities. And if we skip those activities, if we skip those actions, the product is not going to be of the desired quality. So those activities or those processes which are essential for the manufacturing of the product of the desired quality, such activities are termed as value-added activities. And what are non-value-adding activities? Non-value-adding activities are going to be those activities during the process of production which actually do not really add a lot of value, which are not essential, which could be avoided, which could be avoided without affecting the product quality. So the the activity-based management involves classifying the activities into value-added and non-value-added. There is actually a way of looking at it. It could be from the perspective of the product. You could see the essential feature and inessential feature. If you talk from the perspective of manufacturing, you could look at essential processes, and you could look at inessential processes. So whenever we apply activity-based management, we try to eliminate the non-value-adding activities. What we do is that we try to eliminate the non-value adding activities so that ultimately the manufacturing process becomes efficient. Ultimately, the product becomes the product is actually of the desired quality and we are able to save the cost. So this is what the activity-based management generally involves. Now, activity-based management is actually of two types. And what are those two types of activity-based management? If I talk about activity-based management, it is actually of two types. Now, what are those two types of activity-based management? One of them is a strategic ABM, and the other one of them is the operational ABM. So you've got activity-based management, which is a strategic ABM, and you've got activity-based management, which is operational ABM. Now, what exactly is the difference between a strategic ABM and the operational ABM? So the strategic ABM generally involves customers and products. The strategic ABM generally involves customers and the products, and the operational ABM generally involves day-to-day operations. That's what the operational ABM involves. So now, when we talk about a strategic ABM, so under the strategic ABM, what we do is that we analyze our customers and we analyze our products. So what do? We say that if we have got various customers, we could classify those customers into value adding and we could classify those customers into a non-value adding customers. So what we could do is that we could try to retain the value adding customers and we could consider that we should not continue doing business with the non-value added customers. Now, how do we actually analyze the value added and non-value added customers? So generally speaking, from an organization's perspective, at times you deal with customers which are of very large size and they demand a lot from you. And what are those demands? Those demands could be extended credit period, those demands could be excessive discounts, and those demands could actually be small order quantities, those demands and frequent deliveries, etc., etc. So larger the customer is, the larger the customer is, he can dominate you a lot. So what we do is that at times we perform an analysis whether this specific customer is value added, is he profitable, is he adding value to our business, or we would be better off getting rid of this customer. So what we do is that we try to analyze amongst the customer that whether he is value added or he is non-value added. The second thing that we do is that we could actually perform this strategic ABM from the perspective of the product. So the same thing could happen. There could be a lot of products which are apparently loss making or which are apparently of no use or which are apparently on the declining phase. So we could try and get rid of them because they are non-value added products, and the value added products would be retained because they are essential and they're adding value to the business. So overall, if I talk about the activity-based management is simply a technique which generally involves the application of activity-based costing in an organization. The activity-based management is categorized into strategic ABM and the operational ABM. And the strategic ABM is concerned about the customers and the products. Whereas the operational ABM is concerned about the day-to-day operations. Now, I would give you a quick example of the operational ABM. If we talk about the operational ABM, so take about a banking company. A banking company could actually offer to its customer a lot of services for free of cost. I would just give examples of 2 or 3 of those things. One of them is basically free credit card. Another one of them is basically the online banking. The third one of them is free SMS service. The fourth one of them is actually that the bank statement is sent to the customer in physical mode. Now, if a banking company wants to analyze its operations or its product offerings into the value added and into the non-value adding features, what it could do is that it could simply perform an evaluation. Like for example, just in case if we don't offer credit card for free, like what this company does is that whenever a customer opens up a bank account, what it does is it offers them a free credit card. It gives them a free credit card. And it has figured out that 70% of the customer never used their credit card. So if the 70% of the customers have never used their credit card, that means this credit card or the free credit card offering was of no use. It is not valued by the customer. You should rather consider withdrawing it. The banking company sends across the bank statement in physical form to the banking company sends across the bank statement in physical form to its customers. Now, what the banking company could do is that it could stop sending the physical bank statements to the customers and see how many or what proportion of the customers actually demand them for this. So if in case if a large quantity of the customer demand for the physical bank statement, that means that it's an essential feature. But if a large number of customers do not demand for it, that means it's of no use. So what we actually could do is that we could analyze a lot of things with respect to our offerings, with respect to the activities that we perform in an organization, that whether they are value adding or whether they are non-value adding. So an organization should try and eliminate the non-value adding activities so that it becomes more efficient, so it becomes efficient, profitable, and it could actually utilize its capacity in a better manner. Thank you very much for this.